Oh, okay. Everybody, did you manage to get a good rest after the morning session?
Yes, Prof, we got rest.
Okay. Uh, do you have any questions before we resume the next session? Anyone? Okay. Um, before we have our next session, which is a session by Professor Hosman. But before that, I just want to say something about uh, the participant, presentation on Friday. So I'll pass it on to Mas Idam. Mas Idam, you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You want to
Sure.
explain the process?
All right, I'm going to share a screen so everybody can see it better. So as you can see in the screen, everyone, shortly we will circulate the link for you to choose the time on Friday, because we are aware of the time difference. So we want you to choose by yourself based on your convenience. Some of you are probably very late in the afternoon in your time zone, so you can choose your time here. So here the only thing you can fill is only two: the full name and then the time, and it goes by the last name alphabetically. And then once you click that, and then you will be able to go back again, because it has elimination applies policy. So then, as well as the time, when the time is taken, so the time that has been taken cannot be longer available in the future after, or for the next person who want to choose the time. And then once you finish, and then there will be a link where you can click, and then it will click you to the next page, to this page. This page is also available here in the ICCTP, and it's under the schedule. It's ICCTP presentation schedule. And then here, the recorded is automatically here, but bear in mind, there will be sometimes 5 minutes difference after your response being recorded in the Google form, and then automatically change here um, in the website. So I think that's all. And later you will see it here. It's NA not available. It means that no one has been done the input. So if there is any questions regarding this, you can ask me, or later you can ask to the committee in the WhatsApp group.
Okay, I should also say that there is a possibility that some of the times taken are the only times that you can make it. So this is where this is a test to see how you guys share and how you work collaboratively. So if, for example, someone has to do the presentation at a particular time and that time has been taken, so what you can do is you can ask someone else to, you can try to kind of negotiate with someone to swap times.
Right. And also, if there is someone has a difficulty to access, and I believe some of the participants can also help. Just like I've been seeing your collaboration, your bonding within the groups or within the chat groups, and I'm sure you can do the helping hands, helping each other in this matter.
Okay, the question, Masidam, is someone has asked to repeat the instructions. So, okay, shall I have a go at this?
Sure.
So each one of you will be given this link. Correct me if I'm wrong, Masidam. So you'll be given this this Google form, link to this Google form where you select your name and a time for your presentation. So we are giving you the option of picking your own time. So let's say if you go through that list and you see your name, and then all you need to do is run through all the times that are available and click on to one of the available times. So there is a possibility that there are some of you who might not get the time that you are interested in. Let's say if there's 9:40 is the only time you can make it for your presentation, then what we will do is, yes, Ayat, the link will be sent shortly. So we will test it out and we will send it to you perhaps towards the end of today's session. Is that okay? Yes. Yeah. So once you have selected the time, and that will be the time for your presentation. And tomorrow we will send you, so we didn't want to complicate matters. So tomorrow we will send you another sort of a Google form, which is a form that you're going to use for assessing fellow participants in their presentations. And that will be for Friday, okay? And if at any point, if you seek clarification, please don't hesitate to ask the Secretariat. Either post a message or send us a message if you wish us to clarify any of this process. Are there any questions? Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we want to try to make it as painless as easy as possible. So at any point, if you feel that you are having problems, don't stress. Okay, so this is to make to try to facilitate, to make things easier. But at any points, if you feel that you are having problems, don't hesitate to let us know. Okay, without taking any more time, I have the great pleasure of inviting, a friend of mine. I know you have heard this been said so many times right through this course that they're all friends of mine, but because we all work in the area of peace and conflict transformation, so over the years of our engagement, we have become friends. And in the point here I want to make is that if we are trying to build peace or foster peace or transform conflicts in a number of different societies, I think it's really important for us, first of all, to be friends. And with Alexander, Alex, as he's referred to, I've known him for quite a number of years. I think the first time I met him was at a conference in Paris, wasn't it? That was, you have to unmute yourself, Alex.
I think it was in the Italy.
Yeah, okay. I think for some reason, I think I was at the conference in Paris as well, but we became closer friends at the next conference in Naples. Yeah, and I still remember the wonderful Italian meal that you prepared for all of us.
Yeah, I also remember that.
And when we were in Naples. And Alexander's strategy was to get us to walk through one of the most dangerous streets in the city to get to his apartment. And as soon as we survived, and then he fed us. But,
yeah, no, that was a wonderful
okay,
time.
Okay, on that note, Alexander, it's all yours. So,
Okay, great. Thank you, Alberto, for the warm invitation to this wonderful course. I'm really delighted to take part. And I'm sure that we will have a very good time together. Today I want to share with you my experience in the field of anthropology of peace building, and talk about peace culture. And this course has been really, I followed the recordings of the sessions, of the presentations, and this course has been really wonderful. So I can build also on love, I can build on peace education and peace ecology and so many things. And I was especially impressed in Alberto's biographical note, where he said he wanted to be a rock star. And he said he ended up as a boring professor, but I think he is actually a very exciting professor, and I think we share a dream. We share a dream in being fully fledged applied anthropologists. That is, we don't want to stay in the university as an ivory tower, but we think that the university shares the human society, right, to support people's struggles in the different local arena, and especially for human rights, say for cultural rights. Yeah. So let me just begin straight ahead in asking in a small warming up question. So all of you, I think, are aware or have participated in a ritual. Yeah, he rocked all those 2 weeks. So that's right. Yeah, Alberto rocked the field of peace studies, and he does this also in the deep global network. Yeah, a peace network. So I want to ask the students. So this presentation is for you, right? And I want to ask you which kind of cultural festival, yeah, or religious festival is of particular importance to you. And for me, many are important, but in particular, I began actually during my PhD. I had a wonderful time with my young family at the time in southern Thailand, in northern Malaysia, so very close to Indonesia, and also culturally very close. And I want to speak also about a particular cultural festival that is called Manora Longklu. And it's in April, it's summer. It's taking place in April and summer, and it's a time where the living can meet the dead. Yeah, and especially those lost ones that one holds dearly, and that you remember and you have very fond memories about. Yeah. And then through possession of ancestor spirits, you can actually, you can actually remember the loved ones. So and actually you can meet them and have a conversation with them. Yeah, and you invite them to precious meal. Yeah, so you prepare everything. You prepare the things to eat, to drink, yeah, delicious special dishes that are prepared just for this precious moment, yeah, and then the leader of the family or the community leader becomes a medium, actually becomes possessed, yeah, by the ancestor spirits. And the interesting thing with Manuralon Crew is that is taking place in the intimate sphere of them. But it's actually Theravada, very different religions, yeah, Theravada Buddhism on the mainland Southeast Asia side, and then Islam, yeah, on the insular Southeast Asia side, yeah, and it's there in Southern Thailand. It's just the point where the two cultures meet, yeah, and but there is one why people have separate religions, and it's also separate ways of communicating with the dead, right? Or with death, yeah, with life and death. They have this common local cosmology, right? And I have this this mask. I bring this mask here from Southern Thailand with me, yeah. So, like this, can you see? Yeah. So this is the clown actually from the Manuralon Crew, and it's a important picture. So there's a whole life, like a theater, almost like a theatrical stage, yeah, like a theater, and I just want you to, if you can now mention some of the festivals, religious festivals or cultural festivals that are dear to you, that are important to you. So you can just, yes. I'm not sure if I can see actually everybody. I have to change the gallery. Okay, yes. So Adi Bula had a hand sign.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry, it's morning here. Sorry, it's just a quarter after 7 here in the morning. I wouldn't. What you want me to say, sir? I should make my contribution, or I should give you an instance of a cultural value in my area.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. If I should go down the memory lane, we used to have what you call a Gungun festival. Gungun festival is, used to be a renowned people from all over the world. They travel down home to celebrate this particular festival, and it is believed that if you participate or if you attend, our ancestral will bless you, and then make your living, worthwhile. And it is also a period where we do meet together to discuss about development generally in my place. So it's more of a ritual, yearly thing that we do gather together and celebrate this festival. You have masquerade that will be so consumed, and dance, entertain, food, and so many entertainments takes place. But as we have said in our last session, we are no longer closer to the root anymore. We are getting closer and remaining in the center now, where we cannot, share this value with our people anymore. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. Anybody else? Not now. Then your ideas your associations might come during the presentations. So I open my first presentation. Yes. Okay. Can you see? Can you see well the presentation? Yes. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So the first part is a little bit biographical and is also related to the Corona pandemic. And I think that many of the emotions that I share here with you are also, you can also associate with. Fresh wind for online academy. So the first picture is myself, right? I standing up against racism, discrimination, Islamophobia, and anti-Semitism. So we had a campaign here in the city of Bielefeld in Germany, right? And here I have this signpost, right? Where I say, I stand up, right? So, and everybody, so many people in Bielefeld did, right? And I think that's very important to show this kind of solidarity. And I say here, for a colorful, diverse, and open, cosmopolitan Bielefeld with dignity. This is written here, yeah? So we can choose the text and then we post it in the social media, yeah? Against the rise of populism and the extreme right, yeah? So in spring 2020, I've been a bit upset about very intensive and tiring online teaching. Yeah, and I think everybody had this kind of experience of plunging a little bit into online teaching. And after teaching a couple of years in Tallinn as associate professor, I was hit by a kind of melancholia that was amplified by the Corona pandemic and my inability to commute from Tallinn to my family home in Germany. Hence, I decided to take a sabbatical to write a monograph on vernacular humanitarianism among the Karen in Eastern Burma. So I've worked the last 10 years with the Karen, a minority in Eastern Myanmar, in Eastern Burma, right? But once I set foot in Germany, my appetite to teach beyond academia was constantly growing. So that is the phase that I find myself into now, speaking to you, yeah? Can you hear me well, everybody?
Yes,
Yeah?
doctor. Yes, sir.
Okay, great, yes, thank you. So I decided to find new ways of teaching beyond academia and to experiment with new formats of teaching, workshops instead of conferences, yeah, doing workshops instead of conferences, and to reach out to the public. I taught blending learning courses for participants with migrant and refugee background in Germany, reflecting on socialization, migration, and integration, and on culture and religious identities for social enterprise called Big Up, Education, Culture, and Participation. My participants came from many countries, including Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq. Many of the participants have graduated from university, but were not yet able to get a foot into the German job market and were very vulnerable regarding their residency rights. I enjoyed greatly working with this group because I did not use academic language or jargon, but interacted actively with the participants in a dialogue and learned so much from the participants and got a fresh perspective on teaching, didactics, and interaction. I had both phases, teaching online and in person. Finally, I was inspired by people from the Wise Vote Needs Anthropologist network. Yeah, it's a very active and dynamic association and network. And I encourage you to become a member if you are interested, who set up online academies and anthropological think tanks, especially Hallo, Ethnographic Bureau by Louisa, and Edocere Alliance, the startup at the University of Oxford by Elizabeth. As I support a community center in Shan State in Myanmar, as I will talk later, I conferred with Elizabeth Rahman to give a masterclass on the premises of vote anthropology and peace culture. So this is forthcoming, yeah? a masterclass on the premises of Role Anthropology and Peace Culture at Educere Alliance, and I will share the link with you in due course. Yeah, I will share the link with the students in due course. Okay. In the next step, I went even further. I collaborated with the social enterprise Koba to design a 6-month education to become a cultural coach for young people, young migrants in Germany, to become a cultural coach. We invited young people, especially Yazidi or Yazidi people from northern Iraq, yeah, from Sinjar in northern Iraq, who have become forced migrants in Germany, yeah, who actually fled from genocide, from attempted genocide, yeah, in 2014. And we have a big group of 100,000 people in the region of Bielefeld and the region, in the cultural clubs and associations, in the living quarter. So that's very important, yeah, that this educational project is to become, is a training to become a cultural coach in your own living quarter. That means in Bielefeld Baumheide, for example, yeah, which is a small neighborhood, yeah, where you have a high concentration of migrants and a high concentration of Yazidi families, yeah. And the whole point is to become active, to become active in peace building, right? So we teach the methods and models to become an intercultural trainer, bridge maker, transversal enabler, or cultural facilitator. So what is a transversal enabler? A transversal enabler is somebody who's able to invest into social relations in a school or in a kindergarten, yeah? So that actually to improve the social climate, so to speak, yeah? For example, to have the school without racism, yeah? The school of courage. So that's what I'm now doing. So I'm becoming more creative, and I have a lot of fun with that. So I enjoy myself also. So the culture coaches work in different fields, including anti-racism, democracy promotion, and cultural education. So democracy promotion, what does it mean, right? It means that to enable and to encourage young people, young migrants to participate in the local democracy, yeah, in the local democracy, and this is about rights, of course, also, yeah, to be more aware of your rights. So the aim is to create open spaces in the living quarter where problems of discrimination can be openly debated and action taken. So people experience discrimination on an everyday level, right? Yeah. And I encourage the young people to become cultural coaches to counter this discrimination and racism. So it's a quite of empowerment, yeah. So I've successfully applied for a BAMF project now, which is a ministry, the German ministry, government ministry of migration and refugees, yeah, BAMF, yeah. And my project is called Hate Zone, Countering Hate Speech in the Internet, yeah. So in a sun state, peace and coexistence. I integrate this with the master's program at VU Erlangen on the anthropology of decision-making, integrating my new experiences with online teaching in my regular university teaching at VU. So I am now, currently I'm a guest professor at the Friedrich Alexander University in Erlangen, yeah, and we have a master program in which is called Standards of Decision Making Across Culture. So I'm working now in the university and outside of the university, yeah, at the same time, yeah, and having my foot, so to speak, in the trainings, in local trainings, as I outlined, and my international partnerships. So what I like to promote here with you is a concept that I like to call vote anthropology. All right. So the online courses include models on methods, including ethnography. But ethnography does not only mean participant observation. So anthropology is very much associated with its main method, yeah, which is participant observation, of course. Participant observation means that I don't stay in a hotel, right? But I stay actually with the people I visit and I share time with, yeah, every day, the everyday life. I share meals with, I sleep there, right? So meaning I have a really a meaningful interaction, yeah. But I think that participant observation, just physical, just being a guest, right? Just physical participation is not sufficient, yeah. But we need what I call participatory action research. And this means that actually I use my resources as a relatively privileged white European, yeah, to participate in the human rights campaigns, for example, of the Karen, yeah, because as I told you, I stayed many many years in 10 years, during 10 years in records, yeah, with the Karen in Eastern Myanmar. So first, the intercultural trainers learn about the profession to be a coach. The coaches facilitate conversations, dialogue, and cooperation. So now I'm coming back to the trainers in Bielefeld, yeah, in Germany. The coaches facilitate conversations, dialogue, and cooperation in the city living quarter. On the other hand, I was also interested in peace education and decolonizing strategies, and in developing community-centered and sensitive teaching materials on peace building. So what I'm saying here is that PAR means, yeah, I said already, I mentioned already that participant observation is key, but it's not sufficient, yeah? So what does it mean? What is the difference? Participatory action research. It means that it is important to decolonize, yeah, anthropology indeed, yeah, yeah. So otherwise there's a danger that we have a very strong American kind of Anglo, yeah, American anthropology that dominates, dominates anthropology elsewhere, yeah, also in the university, yeah. So we need a diversity of voices, yeah. We need a diversity of voices. We need the diversity of anthropologies, right? And we need to listen. We need to listen to the communities and incorporate the expertise of the local communities in our teaching materials. You understand? Can you follow me? Yeah? Can you follow?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
great.
sir.
Yes,
So,
yes, Professor.
yes, that's great. So so again, I just want to repeat this, right? So we need developing community-centered and community-sensitive teaching materials on peace building, yeah? So we need to engage at the same time, and that's my whole point, yeah? In informal and as well as a formal education, yeah? And we need to bridge this, yeah? Otherwise, we just form an elite, yeah? And we exclude and marginalize most of the people who don't have the privilege of university education, let's say. You understand? Yeah. So that's so very, very important. And how can we do this? Let's discuss together. So for me, it was important that I build on the experience and expertise of the communities and not come with solutions myself, with simplified solutions. Yeah, yeah. So I don't come with ready kind of with, you know, surveys or questionnaires or this kind of stuff. Yeah, I actually hate this. Yeah, but I rather the questions rather emerge in the field. Yeah. I developed this idea of partnership in a recent paper on vote anthropology that I presented for the IUEAS Congress. So this is a big anthropology congress, yeah? I think that online teaching and learning offers a huge potential for using resources in transnational exchange and support network on high I, yeah? So high I meaning mutual respect, okay? So let's use these online teaching and learning technologies productively. The general idea is that neutrality in participant observation is not even desirable and probably a fiction, yeah? So don't try to say that we are neutral, yeah, because we aren't, because we have very clear political positions, yeah, and if we join in the struggle for human rights, yeah, then this is positive, yeah, and so it's not necessary to hold back. But to be clear about our position, to be transparent about it. So ethnographic intervention always establishes a power relation. So I also like to emphasize that there's a power relation as well. Yeah. I come as a university professor with all the resources, right? With all the resources of the German government, and you know, we have scholarships and all this kind of stuff. While the research, they have nothing. They have really, but I mean, they don't have this kind of means. You understand? They're very poor, but they are also very rich because they have local wisdom. Yeah, they have local knowledge, or what I like to call the expertise of the local communities. And actually, I want to change development, right? I want to change the rules, the game of development cooperation, and the game of academic partnerships, right? And this came out in other presentations as well. I'm thinking about Alberto's work with Aboriginal people, for example, right? Yeah. So PAR again is ethnographic fieldwork is always an intervention. So understand PAR as commitment to the community. Yeah. So you understand it's not just I don't pretend, yeah, to be neutral. Otherwise, people would also, like Alberto talked about it actually, right? Alberto talked about it, how people were suspicious, right, about the young researchers suddenly appearing in their community, in their midst, right? Yeah, you understand? So if you hold back, if you don't say who you are, actually, yeah, people will become suspicious, right, about you. Yeah. So it's better to say clearly who you are and why you are there, and also just to remain passive, but to become active, to become an active researcher and engage in what I call social intervention. What does it mean, social intervention? It means that I get to know the problems of the Karen. I get to know their hardships, yeah, because they've been, they suffered from civil war, they suffered from violence, from structural violence, from discrimination, they suffered from physical violence, yeah. In some villages have been burned, in some villages the school have been rebuilt 7 times, right? So I get to know people's hardships, right? Yeah. And then I cannot just stay aloof, you understand? But I join people's campaign for their rights, yeah? And I'm in a good position to do so, right? So I understand PAR as commitment to the community I work with and contribute to social justice by participating actively in campaigns and mobilization. I wonder how this partnership could materialize in the virtual space, but I have hope that this could also be used as a public space and platform for civil action as well as for sensible teaching. Yeah. So let's export this wonderful course, yeah, to all parts of the globe. Yeah. It's important. Yeah, it's an important course, and I think it's just a wonderful idea because DEEP is also a wonderful network, and I'm also part of DEEP, right? I will also talk about it. So in September, October last year, 2020, I taught for the first time a course on peace and development at UJI in Castellón, Spain. It's UNESCO Chair of Peace Studies, right? And enjoyed it tremendously. I enjoyed the interaction with the students tremendously. And even the context was fragile because we were still in the, I don't know, maybe second wave, I think, right, of the Corona pandemic. It was my best university experience so far, I can say. And I'm really looking forward to teach this course in September, this coming September again. And because, yeah, so, but I wonder now if I develop courses such as the international course on peace culture online, so that my students and friends everywhere can participate. Yeah. So I like to develop also like courses online, such as a master's class for Idusere Alliance, such as this course. Frankly speaking, I also have to get used to online teaching as well. Yeah. But I think that it offers us huge opportunities. So DEEP. I want to speak about DEEP too. And I see that of peace houses and community centers, where I would also visit and teach regularly. Yeah. So within DEEP, Alberto was so kind to support a circle. Yeah, so we have many circles in DEEP, right? In the DEEP Global Network. And I initiated a circle on peace houses and community centers. Yeah. And I intend to visit these peace houses and community centers and teach there. And I like to teach there in peace education. For example, We have currently we have peace houses in Yangon, in Myanmar, in Pattani, in southern Thailand, in Bielefeld. This is the IBZ Friedenshaus, and in Sinjar in northern Iraq. And so these are the places I visited and engaged with, yeah, in my short academic career, right? Well, so these are the places. And in northern Iraq, for example, a friend of mine, Mirza Diani, he has received an award, a peace award also in Armenia. He is actually Yazidi. He's an Yazidi intellectual, and he now freshly built from scratch. You know, you have to imagine in Sinjar, all the villages have been, all the houses have been destroyed. You know, so it's ruins. Yeah. Destroyed by the in battles and by the Islamic State, so Islamic State forces. So including the cultural heritage, right? So like say religious temples. So now Mirza builds a peace center there in Sinjar, yeah, and people were saying, "You are crazy, you know." The Turks might actually drop a bomb there, and then there will be no more peace center. Yeah, but he says no. He believes that this peace center can be an embryo of a new kind of togetherness, of reconciliation, and of resilience, reconciliation, and dialogue. Yeah. So, so very brave. So I envision a combination of presence and online teaching and learning for the future. I think that we must seriously rethink and reconsider the university. This is a big word, I know, but let's just try, right? So there are various ways of integrating, I think, NGOs and non-profit enterprises into the regular coursework. This would require a sort of bridge making between university and civil society. The idea I like to bring forward is that the university uses its resources for service to society. So we do not only have to think about the format of the pedagogic and teaching materials, but also about the design of quick and efficient delivery of peace education among young people. Yeah. I already mentioned that we have to rethink the format of teaching, of the pedagogic and teaching materials. And you had wonderful presentations already, yeah, by Jennifer Murphy, I think, yeah, on peace building, peace education, by Sofia Herrero, right? So there's no need to repeat this. But my point is here, the development of the teaching materials themselves. Yeah, they come from the communities themselves. And also we have to think about more efficient delivery of peace education to the young people, yeah, at the community level, yeah. So because not really, I can just repeat, I have to repeat it. And many universities, and I think I visited also in Indonesia, right? In Yogyakarta, I visited the university in Yogyakarta, Gajah Mada, right? And I have very fond memories of Yogyakarta actually, and presented my work there. And I know that the universities there, also the Islamic University, Muhammadiyah, right, are doing a wonderful job in reaching out, yeah. And this is, I think, what we need to be more inclusive. and less elitist. So we need, I argue, an online academy. Yeah, we need an online academy, and this could be a path-breaking tool. For the online academy, I develop models which I call future labs. Yeah, future labs. In these labs, the approach to the topic, for example, nonviolent communication, is experimental and includes creative elements such as theatrical. Yeah, so theater is very important, performance is very important. Yeah, and pedagogical exercises. I've now for a long time left the lecture for interactive and participatory teaching. Yeah, so we don't need like endless lectures, but we need interactive and participatory teaching. In my experience, the students learn so much more if they participate in the learning experience. So I want to encourage participation by interactive teaching, the integration of pre-recorded video clips, digital learning materials that can be always opened and repeated. You know, that students can always open and repeat for themselves. Podcasts, workshops, Vault Cafe, and impro theater. Impro theater is improvisation theater. Yeah, so it's not a kind of staged play, but it's a structured, pre-structured play, but it's open, right, for the contents to emerge. Okay, so the Congress, that was the International Union of Anthropological and Ethnological Science, yeah, it's called, which is also global in its scope. So I presented a paper on vote anthropology to IUAES, arguing that we cannot afford limiting ourselves to research or to ignore the power relations between the researcher and the researched. I suggest to become actively involved in campaigns and strategies for cultural rights and to listen to community and gender-sensitive approaches, experience and expertise to peace education to develop teaching materials on the space. To design teaching materials for quick delivery among young people and to create a notion of togetherness by adopting a polyphonic approach, which means in which the voice of the researcher, only one voice among many. Yeah, my voice as a researcher is only one voice among many. Yeah. So this will also include designing workshops in a digital format. I believe that the e-connection is the future, not only for the pandemic era, after or in between the new pandemics. It allows me to bridge long distance, or it allows us to bridge long distances with people I've met and appreciated in person before. So it's very important that we meet in person. Yeah, online education cannot replace education in person, face to face. It cannot, unfortunately. Yeah, in my view. Yeah, but I can build a bridge long distances with people I've met before, right? Yes. So let me come back here. So do you like to, first, do you have maybe questions of understanding, or do you have comments maybe to the first part of my presentation? Does it speak to you? Does it speak to you at all?
No questions as of now, Professor. Thank you so much. You may continue.
Thank you. Okay, then let's have, I have a second part of the presentation. Actually, you know, because of the long announcement in the beginning, I now have half an hour left. So what I like to do is actually to show a short video clip yeah, let me do this. So first, I like to show this one. Can you see?
Yes,
we can see,
Professor.
yeah.
It's visible.
Yes. Okay, great. So this is a project I like to introduce, which I follow during the last years, especially in my time in Tallinn. And this is in Estonian language, yeah, in Estonian language. And you can see, but I just want to you to see the picture of the very cute children in Shan State, and these people suffered, yeah, from many suffered from many violences. So from structural violence, from physical violence, right? From physical violence. They suffered from, but they also suffered from development, yeah, because after the democratic period, beginning, let's say, after the national elections in 2015, there was actually a Myanmar educational consortium in Myanmar, and they supported this Myanmar educational consortium, supported this wonderful local project here in Shan State, which is led by my wonderful friend Naisao Kam, and he's a community leader. He has been a Buddhist abbot before, yeah, but he left the monastery. He left the monastery, and he has become a community leader, and he has built. Can you imagine 90? 90, or he plans to build 90 primary schools, yeah, and he has built already 34, yeah, and I think the number has now reached 50 schools, imagine, yeah, and the community center, youth community center in Shan State, in Namlan, actually, which is up from Sipo, yeah, in Myanmar. I will show you a map also. And yeah, and this project, the kind of special quality of the project, yeah, the special quality of the project is support education in Shan language, yeah, and in Shan culture, so that actually the children can learn their own language and their own culture and their own history, yeah, because before this history has been stolen from the people in a way, yeah, and cultural heritage like palaces, etc., Shan palaces have been destroyed, yeah, have been destroyed to erase Shan history, so to speak, yeah, by the central government, yeah, by the military regime at the time. And so the children, if they come to school now, right, they come into a Burmese school, and then they have to learn in Burmese language, yeah. So they may speak some Burmese language, but not they may not be proficient in Burmese language, right? Because their mother tongue, their vernacular language is Shan, right? Yeah, you understand? So and then people, the children are beaten for not speaking Burmese language well. Yeah, and so this is so cruel. Yeah, and so establishing Shan education is also about Shan identity, Shan cultural identity. Yeah, so if we speak about peace and peaceful culture, yeah, we also speak about identity as well, cultural identity as well. Yeah, that's very important. Yeah, and that is the perspective of anthropology. Yeah, right. That is the perspective of anthropology, to give full attention and full endorsement to culture. Yeah, and culture is very, very important. Yeah, otherwise, if we have no culture, we are like empty. Yeah, so that's so important. So to give culture, and you also give dignity to people. Yeah. Okay, and this is a homepage I did with my students, and the students were very talented in setting up this homepage. Actually, they did all the work, and we had fundraising events, and the students also volunteered, yeah, with an NGO called Mondo, yeah, an Estonian NGO, very nice NGO. They're doing very terrific work, and they volunteered with Mondo in Namlan to support the children, yeah. And again, they didn't, but they also worked with the children, but not as a role model, so to speak, yeah, but just as another teacher, you understand, because the most important people are, of course, the Shan teachers, right? The local people, because the local people again have the expertise, yeah, and that's my whole point, yeah, that's my whole point. So we as anthropologists, we come to visit, and we help also to finance also this project. This help is the support is very welcome, yeah, it's very welcome. Of course, but the whole point is that we also we join as a form of solidarity, and thus builds this educational project together, okay, in a partnership. All right, and I like to show a film, but I will just show like a teaser, right? I will just show a teaser, and just for you to have an impression of what Shan State is like, yeah? Sorry, I lost you. Now I close this, sorry. Well, I will come back to this. I show you the trailer of a film of a friend, actually, which is in the Himalayas, yeah. And then I will come back to Shan State.
그지나 동화하기도 사전전이 예멸지나 그거는 뭐마인데 뭐 그게 그 아기순 리메 그모 다 아기순이가 리피가 하트건데 몇 그모 대나 그게 또 남자가 내는 또 시죠 오늘 다 그게 지금 아기순이자 년생이나 그건 댄소 다 이제 공안한다. 나 거기에 기성들이 강하다 그 즉시 그 시고 다 그거 이제도게 나라고 즉시 그 모르지가 하 이과 니마 다 디모딩고 다 가시고 그거 농토
따뜻해나서 홀렌지나서 사자라서 꺼내지네나 따뜻가 니덕다는 내르때 다 짝짝은 되어요 오늘이 jambayang ji herab ta jare de jin thar je da sona do jin da 아니는 완바 막탄버 세원 예버가 이제 어서 리는 완버탄 철로 이제 저라고만 그래서 오늘다 그래서 네 완바가 다니나 아랑생 메치게다 셈그 녀모 도착시 동 때문에 봐 녀모 또 소탐지고 아랑서 신조는 뛰고 오마라 바자나도 오마라 바자나도 오마라 바자나도 오마라 바자나도 그거 시탁하더니 가시과이나 그거 농특하더니 수고라다 그게 뒤라가다 잡던 수고라다 그거 리긴 듯이 여기야.
Okay, so how do you like this film? I'm sure you want to see the whole film, right? Adibula, I cannot hear you. Yes.
Yes, doctor, that was great.
Yeah. That's a wonderful film, and it shows the importance of the local cosmology here. Yeah, so it's about that the nature, the environment is not owned actually by the people. Yeah, but by the spirits, by the deities. Yeah. So we cannot do harm to the environment, because then the deities will actually punish us. That's what we see now with climate change, right? Yeah, with climate change. So because we are not careful enough with the environment, yeah, we also see the consequences, right, of climate change. Yeah, and the consequences of climate change are dramatic, right? So I showed you this video clip. It's a wonderful film of my friend Dance Mayu and Brass, to emphasize the local wisdom, the local knowledge, right, and the importance of religion and the local cosmology and of cultural identity, yeah, and how close people live with the environment. Okay, then the following now, for the time planning now, I suggest that we have now a small exercise in breakout rooms, yeah, if you are up to it. And then we have a 15 minutes break, yeah. Then we have a 15 minutes break and we come back for the second part of my presentation. And then we can have the discussion on the basis of the presentations. Would that be a good plan?
Sure, Doctor. Sure.
Would that be good?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes, we are okay with it.
Okay, or enthusiastic?
Yes, sir.
Enthusiastic. I want you to be enthusiastic. So, okay, great. Then we have a small exercise in breakout rooms. And imagine now the task is that you are a member of, imagine you are a member of a deep circle on the anthropology of peacebuilding, right? Of the deep global network. You are a member. Imagine you are a member, and now you're going out to Shan State, to Namlan, yeah. So the place I've been to, and you want to help the in the future of the children. Yeah, you want to help the future of the children. So how would you? Can you please discuss in small groups now, just for 10 minutes, what would be the steps that you would take to help with the education of the children in Shan State, yeah? And I give you a little bit of the context already, right? So they suffered from structural violence, physical violence, as well from discrimination, but also from land grabbing, for example. Yeah. Is the question clear?
Alex,
Yeah?
can I just
Yes.
intervene here?
Yes.
Just very quickly.
Yes.
I think the participants do not know what deep circles, because we didn't talk about
No.
that. So
no. So you are.
shall I give?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay. So very quickly, what Alex, I think, assumed that you are aware of how the deep network works. So the deep network includes a number of what we call deep circles, and these are small groups of volunteers, of change makers in different parts of the world. So Alex, for example, is the coordinator for the Peace House Circle, and some stage, if we get the time, we will run through some of these circles, but you can look it up on the Deep web page. So a circle is essentially, a group, and we use the word circle because the group does not really have leaders, but it's a circle. It's a kind of a group of people that get together, and in this course, we have a number of people who are actually, they have their own circles. So we have Dilavar, for example, and Najiba, who belong to in Pakistan. So what the circle does is they come up with their own projects, the projects are focused on peace building, conflict transformation, social justice, dealing with structural violence, a whole range of different kinds of topics. So think of the circle as if like it's like a web where we bring together people who are like-minded, people who in fact, usually they are friends, and friends get together and they say, okay, let's work on this. Let's try to do something to make a change happen in a particular kind of a setting. So I think this is what Alex is inviting you. Is that right, Alex?
Yes,
inviting you
right.
to the Shan country
Exactly.
and to think as if like you are setting up a circle, but dealing with what sort of projects that you're going to organize or run. Would that would that be my correct interpretation?
Absolutely. So we take deep. You can also be with UNICEF, for example. Yeah, let's say UNICEF is very well known. United Nations organization that works with children. Yeah, it's up to you. It's up to the small group. So we will have small groups in of 5 people, 5 students, and then I will join the groups also. Yeah.
Sikri, Mas Sikri.
Yes.
Bisa.
Bagi kelompok 5 orang ya.
Ya, 5 orang setiap.
For how many minutes, sir?
10 minutes, please.
10 minutes.
Okay.
10 minit ya. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. In room together, and then I make an announcement. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So we now. Okay, good. I think
hello.
they're still
Yeah,
joining.
yeah. Hello, everybody. I hope you had a good discussion. And the whole point actually is about introducing PAR again. And so I will come back to this after the break also. Participatory action research. The whole point is to take the community actually as the first priority. Yeah. So to work with the community is the first priority. Yeah. And not to work with any stakeholder. Yeah. With all the with UNICEF or with the government, etc. Yeah, but to go to the community first, right, and to work actively with the community together to empower the community. But so that was the whole point of the exercise. And the exercise is very interesting. Yeah, I did the same exercise in Castellón, and students came up with very interesting diagrams. Yeah, about the different stakeholders they want to work with. But most students didn't go directly to the community, which is interesting. Yeah. So, okay, let's have now a break of 15 minutes, and then let's continue with the second part of my presentation after the break. Yeah. Are you fine with that?
Yes.
Okay. And so let's come back to the discussions you had in the breakout rooms, and then we have the second part of the presentation. Okay. Have a nice break, please.
Thank you.
All right. See you in 15 minutes. Have some tea or coffee, something nice. hope everybody's all right. I hope everybody's back and that you enjoyed your break and that you are still full of enthusiasm for the course. Let me ask you about the discussions you had in the group. So for the first group, what kind of stakeholders, so you imagine you are with DEEP or with UNICEF, let's say, yeah? The United Nations organizations that help children, with what kind of stakeholders you would like to work with, and how would be the first steps you would take after your arrival in Shan State? So who likes to share from the first group?
I do not remember my group.
Yes, Afila?
This is Dilawar Khan. I can go first, but I don't remember.
Please. Yes.
I don't remember group name, number.
Yes.
Actually, we had discussion, extensive discussion. So both the steps which has been shared by the group members and some of the stakeholders, the steps in the steps that which were shared in the group, which can be taken to eliminate the discriminative behavior amongst the society for children, which is the creative expression. Creative expression can be one of the main source, which includes arts, music, painting, sketching, and educating to educate the educators, and also to provide also education opportunities to children, engaging all relevant stakeholders. Welcome to the stakeholders later. And also one of the group members shared that engaging teacher and elders in the community influential are mandatory, because they are someone who can own the entire idea, and they can maintain it for beyond the project life if it is funded project. And the most important thing, one of the members said that we have to reflect on the content which has been taught in schools and education system, or young people or the children are taking it from the society and family. We have to deconstruct the symbol and language if they are supporting violent behavior amongst children. And one of members said that we need to reconnect children to the nature, because nature itself has a sense of peace, love, and compassion.
Sure.
And the major stakeholders which has been shared by the group member are parents, mainly the family, immediate family caregiver or parents, teachers, government education department, and community influencers. In some of the area which are tribal areas, like in Pakistan, there we have to consult the tribal leaders. These were some discussions that we had in our group. And I thank you to every member of the group. They have provided me opportunity to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very rich already. Lovely. How about Irfan? Irfan, you want to present the discussions you had?
Okay. I'm representing group number 2. Yes, in our group, we jointly discussed, and some of the group members have elaborated that a trickle effect, I mean, like from top to bottom, I mean, like from the policy level to, I mean, like district level, and then to the community. Yes, and some course, I mean, some area, it's true that it helps a lot. But generally, it depends on the area and locality. Like, for example, if we can talk about Pakistan as a case, and then we take further to a tribal districts. So first of all, you will need to look at the dynamics of the area. So being as a developmental practitioner, as a peace activist, and as a teacher of peace and conflict, working from the last 10 years in the community development sector, the approach is that we start from the grassroots level. And in the grassroots level, it is very important that there are few indicators that we need to set before going into the dialogue or discussion on any issues. So there are a lot of issues. For example, in the tribal district, we do have the issue of, like the provision of clean drinking water, education, and other basic facilities that are the dire need of the human. So in that case, first of all, we need to, call a meeting in that community, in the area. We ensure to include all the groups, whether that is, sectarian area. So we need to include the Shia, the Sunni. We need to include the marginalized groups, for example, the vulnerable participant or the other non-Muslim who are living side by side. Then most of the cases, we used to do a mediating role, just because that whenever a project comes, we have been working with various projects, but that was for a very short span of time. And there are two things. One is development and sustainable development, and one is sustainability. So NGO sector, development sector, they always push for sustainability. Like the project activities and beyond that when you phase out. But actual the sustainable development. Sustainable development means that we need to empower the local community. They have a lot of problems. So in that case, we first need to get their consent to list down their main issues and then prioritize what are the common main issues. On that common main issue, we used to get all the required information, and then we try to reach to a conclusion, to an agreement that fits locally, so that we can find a local solution to a local problem. Second step, we used to engage these local community elders, religious elders, elected members, youth, teachers. Like earlier, Dilawar Khan said that these are the primary stakeholders in a community who knows their real problem. And then we used to engage them, connect them, build a linkage with the district administration. In our culture,
if it's possible.
Yes. Yeah. In our culture, we do have that, we call it Kuli Kacheri, open discussion. So the deputy commissioner, and along with the deputy commissioner, there are law enforcement agency, police, there are the social welfare, and all the relevant department, health, education, public health engineering. So they used to sit there, and then open discussion starts. So the list of issues that we identified in the local community, one of the elder, they translate, they highlight those issues, and then the deputy commissioner try to accommodate their concern through annual development project plans and to the relevant department to look at these issues for immediate course of action, and for some issues they get time. So this is kind of a thing that we not only bring out the basic issues and consent from the local community, engaging and participating, and then connecting with the district administration for immediate remedial actions. And that not only help to build trust between the district administration, government, and the local community, but it also help to reach their voices to the district administration. So this is the normal procedure that we used to do in our projects, because we don't want to create a fake expectation in a community, because project GIZ, UNICEF, UNDP, they're for a short time of frame, and then later on they phase out. But after phase out, what will happen? The sustainability, we usually empower and then connect to the relevant, technical cadres and different departments, so that they can live and survive themselves.
Thank you also for giving insights from your own culture. I think which is very important is that we engage the community from the beginning, already in the design of the project itself, right? And also what was mentioned was also to work by some participants in the breakup rooms is to involve parents as well, which I find very important. Yeah, and they, to be clear about the expectations also, and the dreams and hopes and aspirations. Yeah, future aspirations. This is also very important.
And one
Yes.
extra point I would like to add, working in the conflict zone or in the normal zone, the most important thing is the social cohesion, bringing social cohesion among
Exactly.
the diverse community. So this action, this methodology, this mechanism helps that the department, the district administration know the problems of people. So they take ownership, and when they take ownership, then it minimizes the eruption, the re-eruption, or escalation of this conflict in the community, because they get a kind of a hope. So I mean, it helps in peace building process as well.
Okay, thank you very much. And Rafia wanted to add.
Yes, Professor. So
Yes.
I also discussed the Ladakh pyramid model while we were, brainstorming as to which approach we should apply in order to build peace. So we know that in the Ladakh pyramid model, we have 3 tiers of leadership. We have the top leadership, the middle range leadership, and the grassroots leadership. I was just wondering, I mean, this is my own, you can say, my own approach. I think the middle range leadership is most important while focusing on any peace building process, because it's the middle range process that is connected with both the top leadership and the grassroots leadership. And if we focus on the construction of more and more peace commissions, if we train people in conflict resolution, if we encourage indigenous forms of peace building mechanisms, like we have Jirga in Afghanistan, Pakistan, we have the Panchayati Raj institutions in India, I think that it's a long way to go. So focusing more on problem-solving workshops, that too in the middle range leadership, it will help us, to better approach peace building.
Yeah, so we need something like organic civility. I write in the chapter the term. That's also a term that Alberto Gomez, by the way, introduced. I remember organic civility and solidarity. Yeah, and we also had Irfan said cohesion.
Exactly.
Also, yeah?
Exactly, Professor.
So organic civility and solidarity, meaning that the organic means that the initiative has to come from the community itself. Yeah, so it's very important that they keeps control also of the process, that the community keeps control of the process of education. Yeah, that they can design the education in the way that they want. Yeah, and they aspire. Okay, great. Thank you very much indeed. And now I come, sorry, Adebola had his hand also. Yes, Adebola?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you, Professor. From my group, we had some conclusions, which I will summarize. Since Deep Network is coming as a community-based organization or a sort of NGO, we need to start from what we call Track 2 diplomacy. This has to involve actor transformation, because these children are coming from the background of violence, both physical violence, structural violence, and cultural violence. Exactly. So we're going to engage in 3 R's, which have to be the first thing to rehabilitate these children. Rehabilitation takes different form. Having done that, we need to reintegrate them. And the final phase is rejuvenation. Yeah, we cannot do this in isolation from the environment. Therefore, we must engage the locals, the parents, and then foster peace education in them. We must also need to inculcate the habit of ensuring that we give them peace education, a lasting peace education that can transform their whatever they have experienced, a sort of conflict transformation processes. We need to give them peace education so that they will not reverse back to what has led them into that situation. And the transformation is not going to focus only on these children, because they are vulnerable, but you must also address issue of actor specific those who actually initiated the conflict that the children are suffering from. So from here, they can be transformed and they live in a better society.
Perfect.
Thank you.
To go also in the direction of conflict transformation already, which I really like. Yeah. Toba? Toba?
Yes.
Yes.
It is Tuba. I was in group 5, I think. I don't remember the number, with Abdullah Alai, John Fong, and myself. We are 3 people in that group. And we discussed that according to John, we have firstly to assess the problem or relationship between two conflictual parties. And then according to Abdullah, reconciliate or untangle. The untangled was my point of view, and Abdullah Alai was like we reconciliate the problem, first assess the problem, that reconciliate, that try to untangle the deep roots and for deep solution and deep peace in that area. So that is the points we come with. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. All this is very rich, yeah, and you can see how valuable participatory action research is, yeah. That's the whole point I want to stress. And I shared some experiences with Alberto also. This is his work with the Aboriginal people, yeah. But now let me go also about potential conflict, yeah. With, by the way, potential conflict with the government. For example, the government of Myanmar has neglected education for so long. But now let me go in the second part of the presentation. Yes. Okay, great. Here you are. So peace culture and culture of peace, non-Western epistemology and decolonizing peace education in world anthropology. So I think I've been a little bit ambitious today. So let me go through the slides rather quickly so we can have a good discussion in the end also. Okay. So we have the right and culture debate that has sensibilized us about the power relations in the field. Instead of coming with fixed questions, we should be open for the research question emerging in the field, yeah? So don't come with kind of fixed questions, but be open for the themes emerging. And the themes emerging are given to you by, for example, the Aboriginal people. So I already said that I argue that world anthropology does not see neutrality as desirable, right? And that the researcher is committed to the communities he works with. So empathy is very important, yeah? Yeah. So participatory action research goes beyond participant observation, okay? And we like to use the resources of the researcher, I already said, right? And it's very important to be polyphonic versus dialogical. So polyphonic research is preferred, right? In which the researcher's voice is only one voice among many, and in which voices of interlocutors are stressed by extensive citation. Yeah. So let's be as inclusive as possible also in our publications. So I don't, after publishing a book, for example, I go back to the field to discuss also the book with my interlocutors, with the communities I work with. because to also to test, you know, if what I have published speaks to the community, yeah, and this is a very enjoyable moment also, yeah, it's a kind of party also, yeah, very interesting, and people see the photographs, you know, in the book, and oh, that's us, and you know, and it's really a really nice form of sharing. So we also have Western biases, yeah. And these Western biases also exist in peace education, yeah. And this is very important to realize, yeah. So we have to reflect from Western concepts of peace suffer sometimes from universal assumptions, like even like human rights, that can be really very hard and difficult to apply in the local context, yeah. Only if we can apply them in the local context, like vulnerability, then local rights, human rights can be meaningful. Yeah, you know, if you cannot apply them, then they just stay abstract. So for human rights to be relevant, the research needs to be embedded in community concerns, yeah, community experience and design. And these are the ethnographic challenges, yeah. So I'm looking now at developing non-Western epistemologies, yeah, you understand? So we need to decolonize development on 3 levels: on the level of theory and research, right? On the level of pedagogics, and on the level of practice. Yeah, the stake for Vote Anthropology is to elucidate non-Western community-centered approaches to peace in one vote for informing contextualized and gender-sensitive peace education and teaching materials. So now here comes, yeah, and I can send you the PowerPoint if you like after the presentation. I can send you the PowerPoint in a PDF, yeah. So Vote Anthropology is primarily interested in developing non-Western, community-centered and gender-sensitive concepts. All right. It's very important. The non-Western is also very important, and community-centered is important as well. Vote Anthropology explores non-Western epistemologies by employing vote ethnography with communities on the move. Yeah. The Vote Anthropology is not limited to participant observation or thick description, but includes commitment, empathy, and social intervention. Ethnography creates a climate of togetherness. A global anthropology includes local and international ethnography, spanning continents. For studying mobility, both temporal and spatial aspects are crucial. So, for example, for the Karen, right? The Karen, they fled for their lives to the refugee camps, yeah, and they stayed, and many stayed like for 20 years. Families stayed, imagine, for 20 years in a camp, yeah. So their children have only known the refugee camp, and from the refugee camp, many were about 100,000 people were resettled, many to the United States, yeah. So I, as a researcher, I also spent time in the refugee camp as well. And then I spent time, let's say, in Utica, in New York, in the state of New York, yeah, because you have a very substantial Karen community there. Or in Sheffield, you have a very active Karen community in Sheffield, in England, in the UK as well, yeah. A vote anthropology applies anthropological concepts and ethnographic methods to the real vote and use them to contribute to eco-peace systems. A vote anthropology is attentive to and encouraging of local knowledge and the expertise of the local community in the stake of fortifying local communities. Yeah? Do we have questions to this? Or is this rather clear? So what we like to develop are, we like to support people in the development of their eco-peace systems, yeah? Because ecology and peace is very closely related, right? And people have local knowledge, believe me, people have a lot of local knowledge on their environments. They know all the species, they know all the herbs, yeah? And these are vital in their everyday lives, in their everyday food also, yeah, in their everyday food culture, right? So most things you don't need to buy on the market because you can just collect it in a sustainable way. And people also repair, you know, the environment constantly, yeah, without actually the international organizations noticing, yeah. And people also repair their lifeboats after conflict as well, yeah. The Karen, they built their villages in a way now that they can be mobile because their villages have been destroyed so many times, yeah. So they use building materials that they can, you know, buy their houses quickly, build their houses quickly, or rebuild, or rebuild them in a different location. Also, they in the refugee camp, the Karen people, they try to make to utilize the refugee camp by so I already introduced the term here, organic solidarity and peace culture in Southern Thailand. So in Southern Thailand, a unique culture has evolved on the basis of ritual exchange for the ancestral deities. Manuralong Kru is a ritual in which the living have an opportunity to meet the dead through possession by spirits, keeping modernity spirited and enchanted. Provides a basis for transversal enablers investing into social relations, avoiding tensions and keeping relations across ethnic and religious boundaries peaceful. And this is Southern Thailand, yeah. This year you can see Songkhla and Pattani, yeah. And Southern Thailand bordering northern Malaysia here, yeah. And the oceans, of course, yeah. The Andaman Sea as well as the Gulf of Thailand. Okay, and here you have a picture from my fieldwork, yeah, the ritual of two religions. So you have here, can you see the Muslim Imam, yeah, the Muslim Islamic community leader, yeah, together with the Buddhist monks, yeah, praying, exchanging praying gestures, yeah, exchanging food, money, and praying gestures on the common cemetery where both Buddhists and Muslims actually have been buried, yeah. And this is a picture from Bantamud in Patalung province in southern Thailand. Okay, so very impressive. And here you can see a picture of the Manuralong crew, where I said the dead are invited to converse with the living, yeah. And it doesn't matter. Some of the relatives are actually Buddhist and some are Muslim in one family, you see. And thus there is no separation here in this ritual of Theravada Buddhism and Islam, yeah, because what is more important is a local cosmology. Can you see the picture?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And then we have the Karen. And I cannot speak about all the traditions of the Karen, but the Karen are Buddhist, animist, and Christianized. And the Christianized Karen are looking back at the history of 200 years of missionization. And they have received the gospel from the American Baptist missionaries, actually. Yeah. And here you have a picture of Burma, yeah, and the South Asian Massif, yeah, meaning the mountains, yeah? The Himalayan, the extension of the Himalayan in southern China, as a Burma bordering southern China, bordering Thailand, on the Salavin River. All right, it's always good to have a map. And I said that the Karen suffered from civil war, and there were 9 refugee camps and resettlement. And this is a refugee camp, yeah, the Mela refugee camp in northwestern Thailand, where I actually started my field work, yeah. And I remember I did a lot of, I joined the English class, yeah, the English language class, and I played football and table tennis, yeah, with young people, and we always had reunions to discuss the issues coming up, right? So small circles of discussion, and I found them very meaningful and important in the refugee camp. And you can see here the houses, yeah? It looks like a village, right? And the people, they took their pastors, their Christian pastor with them and built a church in the refugee camp, yeah? So to have a hope in the context of despair, right? And engagement is really important. And I was already talking about the project I had with the students, yeah, where the students volunteered. And then we have the Yazidi people in northern Iraq, and they suffered from attempted genocide in 2014. And from violence, from physical violence, and as well, especially with the women. And so there's now a process of healing of trauma, because the women have to live with their trauma. They're highly traumatized, yeah, you know, because of they've been kidnapped, they've been enslaved, they've been raped, you know, multiple times, yeah. And this is a picture of a Yazidi temple, because the Yazidi have their own Yazidi religion, yeah, and it's a very old religion. It's older than Islam or Christianity. And so the Yazidi have a history of persecution, you know, a history of persecution, so that the trauma is actually transferred from one generation to the next, yeah. And you have a very substantial Yazidi migrant population in Bielefeld, where I stay with my family. So they're looking, Yazidi people are looking back at 72 genocides, yeah. So the genocide here, took place on the 3rd of August 2014, and the Yazidi were encircled by the Islamic states. Tens of thousands of people escaped to the rugged mountains without water or food, but 10,000 were not able to escape, and old men and boys were all killed, yeah. 7,000 women and minor girls were raped, enslaved, and sold like sheep. And hundreds of women remained caught in jihadist families in Syria and in Turkey. So, but then there was also solidarity and help from Kurdish forces from Rojava, from northern Syria, yeah. And many of the fighters of the Kurdish forces are actually women. And this is a picture of the mass grave. And now there's a very difficult part of reconciliation. And I already introduced the community center, yeah, in Sinjar, yeah, that is being built. And the opening of the community center will be in September, October, yeah. And you're very much invited to join. And this will be in northern Iraq, in Sinjar. So, and then you have the diaspora. And the diaspora, you have diasporas now from the Yazidi people, of course, diaspora, meaning people living, migrants living in exile, yeah, forced migrants. You have diaspora from the Patani Malay diaspora in Hamburg, also in Germany, in Stockholm, in Sweden. And you have the Karen diaspora, but very small community in Germany. But Karen diaspora can be found in Scandinavia, especially in Norway. So for the conclusion, avowed anthropology differs from global anthropology in that the global anthropology studies transnational or global networks, right? While avowed anthropology that are introduced today encompasses people in various places, including the diaspora, relating to violent displacement and refugee communities in the one world in which we live together. Avowed anthropology integrates anthropological fieldwork and the application in peace-building education and training. The inclusion of the communities we work with starts with the research design and becomes meaningful by creating togetherness and a commitment using PAR. Further, the spirit of inclusiveness and social cohesion is further strengthened by engaging in common activities and campaigns and by developing community-centered and culturally sensitive concepts and teaching materials. Yeah, that was the point I stressed, yeah, again and again. We need to develop community-centered and culturally sensitive concepts and teaching materials. Yeah, we don't want to work with teaching materials that are offensive, actually, to the cultures and traditions of the communities, right? The goal of avowed anthropology is to overcome Western epistemologies and Western domination of knowledge by bringing both the research design as well as the implementations for further learning into one avowed anthropology. This avowed anthropology does not see the refugee community as a subject to be observed, but tries to make the community and its knowledge visible and facilitates this process by using the available resources and expertise. Yeah. Avowed anthropology does not see research and applied anthropology as distinct entities, but intervention of some sort of social justice creates trust and confidence in the field, and solid research at the grassroots level guarantees the quality of the training in peace education or peace building and conflict transformation. Avowed anthropology promotes dialogue and cooperation. Yeah, so again, confidence in the field, solid research at the grassroots level guarantees the quality of the training in peace education and peace building. In this case, a global anthropology or avowed anthropology is to overcome the distance between the researcher and the people by not only showing our solidarity with the people, not only showing our solidarity, but to discover that we have the same values about life, love and peace, and dreaming about a better world. We identify the same problems with destruction of the environment, climate change, human rights, and the use of brute force to exclude, humiliate, or eliminate. On this basis, on this human basis, it does not matter anymore if I come from Berlin, Pa'an, or Sinjar. Thank you very much for your attention. Okay, now we have plenty of time for question or comments to the presentation, to the second part of the presentation. Did everybody understand the meaning of vote anthropology now? Is this something that you can identify with? Maybe Alberto can share also some of his experiences with Aboriginal people. Alberto.
Hi.
Hi.
You put me on the spot. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
What? Yeah, I agree with you. And fully agree with you, I should say, about the role of anthropology. I think Alexander knows this as well, because there are one of the things in the training of anthropology, and I recall this very well, is that our so-called professors would say to us that the role of an anthropologist is to be objective. It's a scientific study. We must not make moral judgments. It's amoral. So you just go into the field, you observe the people, you write about them, and don't intervene in the lives of the people. So as if like they are, being a scientist, as if like the people that we are studying are very much like, laboratory objects, for us to observe and write about and contribute. And I always found it very difficult to do this. And the anthropologist Roger Keesing, the late Roger Keesing, who was one of the professors at ANU, where I did my PhD, he puts it very nicely. He says that amorality, that is not to take a moral stand, is ultimately immorality. So the point he was making was that as an anthropologist, and I found it really difficult in the sense that if I'm going to live with people who have been marginalized, people who are suffering the various sorts of consequences of being dominated or oppressed. And I felt that I just couldn't sit there and do nothing. And so I took a stand from a very early stage in my research that while I will observe and try to be as objective as I can, but ultimately I had to take a stand. And it's always been a stand where I would be alongside the Orang Asli. If you are interested, I'll be happy to share a paper that I wrote quite recently. It's entitled Anthropology, the Politics of Indigeneity. It is the text of a keynote address that I gave. I can't remember, I think it was 2010, where there was a big conference of New Zealand, Australia, and the International Union of Anthropological Sciences. So they had a joint conference in Western Australia, in Perth, and the Australians picked me as their representative of the keynote, and then the others, they picked, the other organizations picked various people. And I shared the same panel as this really distinguished Maori scholar, Maori historian by the name of Dame Anne, well, she's Dame now, but Anne Salmon, and she is, incredible. Anyway, back to my experience with the Orang Asli. When I was living in the area, okay, now I can make it public because I don't really care, But when I was in the field, the assistant district officer of the Tapa area was one of my classmates in the university. And when I was sitting with him one day in the district office, I learned that the government was in the process working with various corporations to demarcate certain areas within the Orang Asli communities. And there are 28 villages in the whole region. And they were going to carry out what they went to tell the Orang Asli that they're carrying out surveys. But the survey was actually meant to demarcate certain areas, restrict the Orang Asli to much smaller areas than they have, than their homelands that they claim, on the grounds that that what the government was interested in was to free up the land for commercial, so the corporations. So there was some corruption that was involved. So this assistant district officer told me about this, thinking that, oh, I'm his classmate, but I betrayed him because I got the information and I went and informed all the Orang Asli from the 28 communities, because I felt that as an anthropologist, I have solidarity with the people who have been marginalized. So I got a few of the headmen in the area, and we organized a big meeting of all the headmen in all the 28 villages, and we all got together, and we had this meeting. And at the meeting, there were a number of Orang Asli who were in fact working for the police. They were special branch police officers. And so I turned to them and I spoke to them in Samai. I said, I know that you are here representing the police, and I know that if you go to and report me for what I've been doing here, then I will be immediately arrested and detained without trial, and I will be considered to be a threat to the internal security. So that was the issue, and I said to them, it's up to you. If you want to report, I'll be put away. But that's, I'm doing this not for anything apart from helping your people. And fortunately, they did not report me. But I knew that I was being, I felt I was not doing anything illegal. I felt that, as an anthropologist. But from then, I knew that I was under surveillance. My phones were tapped. I was, on many occasions being, I know that, when I'm giving a speech, even my lectures, I had special branch officers sitting there watching what I was doing. And then some of you would have heard, some famous Malaysians. People like Lim Kik Siang, and they were all people that I knew. And even like Jomo Sundram was also one person in this group of people. So then in October 1987, on the 27th, I think, in October 1987, I got a call in the morning from one of my friends who has got very close links with the Malaysian government. And he said to me that my name is on the list, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, they're going to come and arrest you. And so, and he suggested that I should go and hide in the forest. And I said to him, look, if they're going to arrest me, they're going to arrest me. So that night I didn't really sleep at all. And I knew every car that went past the home, I knew that, yes, that's right, John is the Operation Lala. So Kwa Kia Sung, all these people who I was friends with, and they got arrested. And Lim Guan Eng and all those. Anyway, so I was in 1987, but I think from what I gather is that my name was like 120. So I was not important enough to be arrested immediately. And they arrested 101 people, took them away, detained them under our Internal Security Act. And that I remember that morning, hanging out with several of my friends, and even now and then, several of them are in politics now, like Siba Rasia and all those people. But anyway, we even Anwar Ibrahim. Sorry?
Alberto, thank you so much for sharing your experience, and which shows also how sensitive actually our ethnographic work is, because it's about rights and it's about politics, and it can be uncomfortable for some of the elites actually. Exploiting them. For the end, I like to just show a 1-minute teaser for a wonderful documentation of the situation in Shan State. Just to give you a last kind of impression, and then we can close, Alberto can close the session, yeah? It's a 1 minute teaser, yeah.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because you have in Shan State, you have a tradition of oral singers, actually. Yeah. Hello. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Clear.
Yes. So
Yes,
so
doctor.
you have a,
Yes.
you have a, oops, now I have a strong echo. Okay, you have a tradition of oral singers. Yeah. So this is oral poetry. What happened now? Okay, good. Okay, so you have these oral singers, and they carry the local wisdom with them in the songs, actually, and give them to the next generation, and it's very beautiful. Yeah. So unfortunately, I have to close the session today, and sorry, I have to end my presentation, and I give it to the local organizers of the course to close the session. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Alex. It's always a pleasure to have you speak, but it's also always a pleasure to have a fellow anthropologist. And sometimes we are so close to our discipline that we forget. So there are certain things about anthropology that I have kind of left behind. But thank you so much for devoting your time. And Mas Ari?
Yes. So I can see there are two persons raised their hand. Should we?
Yes.
Okay.
Kafir?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Hello, Doctor. So thank you so much for your great presentation, a wonderful presentation. I just wanted to know one thing, that over the last few years, we have observed that defection of German youth has expressed their anger against the refugees coming from Middle East or the African region, or the migrants coming from Asia. So how do the German anthropologists perceive this hostility of German youth against the migrants or the refugees coming from all over the world?
Thank you. It's an important comment. And Adebola, yes, please.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. Yeah, thank you for your lectures. I'm aware of 3 types of anthropology.
Oh, I can't hear you.
Yeah, it's connection, I think.
Yeah, connections lost.
Hello, Adebola.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Professor. I said I have learned a bit about 3 types of anthropology. One, the imperial anthropology, which is regarded as a hegemony of the Anglo-American. The liberal anthropology, I believe, is Eurocentric. But you have taught me now about world anthropology, which I believe is a sort of radical shift, a sort of hybrid of imperial and liberal. My question is, does it mean that, based on what you have said about world anthropology, which I see as a critical transformation, that makes us to believe that anthropology should go beyond metropolitan to cosmopolitan, as you have said. Does it mean that what anthropology is can it be described as a culture of global peace?
Of global peace. Global peace, yes. Thank you very much for summarizing also. This is very important. My motivation was also to decolonize in a way anthropology. So thank you very much for summarizing that. Okay, great. Yeah, so other comments? Yeah. No, everybody's a bit tired, I think.
It has been a long day, yes.
Yeah, long day. Yeah.
Very long day, and yeah, long 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So any more comments and any more questions? FIFA, it's okay. What is okay?
Enjoy.
Okay. Any more questions before we end the session?
May I say something?
Yes, of course, Dilawar.
Thank you so much to everyone, the organizers and Dr. Alexander for a wonderful day. So I was just thinking to share my perspective that I may be right or wrong, just wanted to share because it seems like relevant to me that the culture of peace culture is very much contextual. Because living in Pakistan, like one of the conflict zone, including the neighbors like Afghanistan, who unfortunately they have been in the conflict from last 4 decades, and then the Pakistan issues with around the neighbors and the neighbors conflict with Pakistan, even within the Pakistani society facing identity issue, being a Pashtun. So I believe like the culture of peace, we may understand hundreds of tools and instruments for peacemaking and peacekeeping. But I believe like at least after understanding and learning any tool, this is my own practice. I try to apply it in the context, that whether it fits in our context or not. So I believe like this course is a wonderful course. So although it is difficult for any of the person who is engaged in professional work, like we may not have a very flexible timing of jobs in Pakistan, and neither a very polite nature of employers. But it was one of the, I was thinking that I should be part of this course, that I should enrich my understanding around this course. So I feel like if we could get an opportunity, if we let participants to share one of their own personal experiences anytime in the course, if the slot allows, that we can also understand like if some tool is working in Pakistan, whether it is working in Indonesia or not, or what are the similar tools that it means we will be able to understand, or at least to come up with a few of the tools that is uniform and workable in any context. And thank you so much. This was something I wanted to share.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for expressing your feelings and yeah, and thoughts, ideas.
Yeah, if I can respond very briefly, Dilabar, rather than using rather than thinking of using that word in the singular, that you speak about culture of peace. I think in anthropology, there's always a tendency that we speak in plural. So there are cultures of peace.
Right.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
So when you have your experiences in Pakistan, the kind of what often happens is that when you look at the UN, there are a number of people that have created this concept of culture of peace. And what is interesting is that it entails the imposition of their idea of what peace culture is all about, and not giving that. I think this is what Alexander was also emphasizing: the not giving the indigenous peoples, the traditional peoples. So many of these kinds tend to be imposed from above. So this is how the culture of peace is like. This is what peace culture is like, and this is how it's going to be, say, in Pakistan. And this is where we have to break. We have to emancipate ourselves, move away from that kind of imposition. So none of us, I would not ever say that I am an expert in any of these areas. And what I can say is that I can provide you with some knowledge, and this knowledge is not complete. It is always something that we are in the process of adding and completing. But here, Dilabar, you can play an important role. And the sharing which you described, I think, is absolutely fantastic. It should not just come from Alexander or come from me. It has to be ultimately sharing, say, you and Mas Ari, Indonesia, or you and, say, Anna. Anna is Indonesian, but she's based in Thailand. So this is how we begin to create the sharing process. But having said that, the role that we are playing in this course is, I would think, that we are really facilitators. So we are, we don't feel, I hope I have not brought this across in my presentation. I'm not an expert in whatever field, but I'm providing some of my ideas for you to think about and to reflect on. And that's why the reflective piece that you're doing is actually your own reflection. So it's encouraging you, and and also inviting you, to reflect on what the various, all of us have been presenting. And ultimately, it's bringing all these. Once again, I won't use the word knowledge, but knowledges, and that's why we tend to use the plural: cultures, knowledges, epistemologies, and there is no one way of doing things. But what happened is, for a very long time, we have been, especially I'm talking about myself, we have been given this kind of idea that there is only one way of doing things, and this is the way that comes from the West. But we are challenging that now. We are challenging it in peace studies. We are challenging that. Adebola has raised it in the context of, Gambia, where you find that you talk about anthropology, and I think this is a wonderful characterization of anthropology. But Africa has, for a very long time, avoided anthropology precisely because the anthropologists played a role in the colonial administration in Africa, in almost every part, whether it's French or British. And that's why when African countries became independent, one of the first things they made sure was not to have any anthropology. So anthropologists in Africa are referred to as historians. But we have now some wonderful people like Mahmoud Mamdani, who is one of my favorite writers, and there are so many other wonderful anthropologists who are from Africa. But we need to kind of bring all these different knowledges. And I don't want to speak anymore because as an anthropologist, we have a tendency to keep on telling stories.
Yeah, and the point is, as Alberto stressed, that every culture is unique. Yeah, and what I stressed again and again is that we have to develop the peace education that we want to apply should be community-centered and community-sensitive.
Mm.
And that's the whole point. It's dangerous to come up with, to say that we know all about the peace culture and that we want to impose a peace culture. That's a dangerous thinking. And I understand, Alberto, that deep is based actually on the premise of mutual respect and listening and solidarity, rather than anything else.
Okay. You're most welcome, Delavar. All right. Once again, I'm going to thank Alexander and
right.
Dankeschön.
Merci, thank you. Terima kasih. Kopkun krap.
Okay. So yeah, take care, and we will move to the other. We will move to the other room. Okay. And yes, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt, Prof. How about the link, the Google form? Should we circulate now or?
Maybe is it okay if we circulate it through my class?
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Or WhatsApp group.
Yeah. The only thing about WhatsApp, Mas Ari, is that not everyone is on WhatsApp.
Okay.
So
okay.
we can do both. We can put on WhatsApp as well as Luna, Visa.
Yeah.
We post on the announcement. We will post the link. Thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot about that. Any other things that I've forgotten?
No, just that thing.
Yeah, sudah tua lah.
Yeah, betul.
I just said that I'm old, so I tend to forget a lot of things these days.
You're young.
Yeah.
No, but I'm also, it's because of my malaria, so it attacked my brains, so I can't.
Oops. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Once again, good night, good morning, good afternoon, or whatever time you are, and thank you once again, Alex, and
thank you,
and all of you, I should say. You have been absolutely fabulous. Can't think of any any marvelous group as this one. So we are so pleased, extremely pleased that all of you have decided to take this course, and hopefully we'll
still going on, right?
It's still going on, that's right. Yeah, it has been tiring, exhausting, but most exhilarating. Okay, you take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
See you.